It was a chilly Tuesday morning when 15-year-old Amara Lewis stepped into the esteemed Sterling Trust Bank, dressed in her school uniform, a modest blazer, pleated skirt, and polished loafers. Amara felt a mix of excitement and nerves. Today she was making her first solo bank deposit, handling a $7,500 scholarship check she'd earned through her stellar academic record. The money represented her dedication, but it also marked a milestone in her independence. Determined to manage this transaction without her parents, Amara approached the counter, her heart pounding as she clutched her folder of documents. Behind the teller, the manager, Evelyn Carter, a sharply dressed woman in her early 50s with an air of authority, noticed Amara's arrival. Her eyes narrowed slightly as Amara presented the check. Evelyn's polished smile flickered. A $7,500 check? Evelyn's voice carried just enough to draw attention from nearby customers. For someone your age, where did this come from? Amara felt her face flush but steadied herself. It's my academic scholarship, she said calmly, her hands trembling as she handed over the award letter and her school ID. I have all the documentation here. The teller, a young woman named Liam, took the check, her expression shifting from neutral to skeptical. She held it up to the light, examining it like a detective hunting for evidence. After a tense moment, she glanced at Evelyn, who had been watching with growing suspicion. Evelyn approached the counter, barely acknowledging Amara. We've seen a lot of fraudulent checks lately, she muttered, her tone laced with disdain. I'll need to verify everything. Amara's stomach churned. She had expected a straightforward deposit, but now she felt like a suspect. She glanced at her bag, realizing with a pang that her phone was still in her school locker. I need to call my dad, Amara said, her voice wavering. He's expecting me home soon. Evelyn barely looked at her. That's not our concern, she snapped, her voice cold. You'll wait until we're done verifying. The words stung, and Amara stood frozen as Evelyn walked away, her demeanor dripping with condescension. The bank's busy lobby buzzed around her, but Amara felt like the room was closing in. Whispers spread among customers, some curious, others judgmental. She stood in the corner, the cold marble floor beneath her feet, amplifying her discomfort. The minutes dragged on, each one deepening her humiliation. Despite the ordeal, Amara's mind stayed sharp. She had always been observant, noticing subtle differences in how people were treated, some with respect, others dismissed. Today, she was living it. She wanted to protest, to demand her documents back, but she stayed silent, recalling her father's advice to stay composed in tough moments. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that her treatment had little to do with her scholarship's legitimacy and everything to do with her appearance. From across the room, Amara overheard Evelyn speaking to Liam in a hushed, almost conspiratorial tone. We need to uphold our standards, Evelyn said. We can't just let anyone walk in and expect special treatment. Amara's heart sank. The words cut deeply. She was being judged not for who she was, but for how she looked. Her hands clenched, but she fought to stay calm. She had earned this scholarship through hard work, and now it felt like it was slipping away. She glanced at the clock. More time passed. The whispers grew louder. All she could do was wait. Amara Lewis wasn't your typical teenager. Living in the upscale Crestwood neighborhood, she valued simplicity over flashiness. Her family's home was refined but understated. No lavish displays, just tasteful decor and a strong sense of community. Amara's father, Dr. Marcus Lewis, was a respected financial analyst who ran a top-tier consulting firm. Having built his career from scratch, Marcus instilled in Amara a fierce sense of independence and a belief that success came from effort, not privilege. The Lewis family's wealth was significant but never flaunted. Marcus believed in the power of education and integrity, often telling Amara that wealth was about making a positive impact. Amara had internalized these lessons, excelling academically and earning a full scholarship to Crestwood Prep, a renowned school known for its challenging curriculum. This wasn't a gift handed to her. She had earned it through sheer merit. Her friends admired her ability to juggle school, extracurriculars, and a part-time job, but Amara thrived on the challenge. It was her way of proving she could stand on her own. Her father supported her but never allowed shortcuts. "I want you to have every opportunity," Marcus would say, "but you need to earn your place." Amara's decision to handle the bank deposit solo was another step toward independence. If you are still watching this video, subscribe and share with friends. At 15, she felt ready to navigate the adult world. The scholarship check symbolized her growing maturity. That morning, before heading to the bank, Amara had carefully placed the check in her folder. At the breakfast table, Marcus had been reviewing client reports but paused to look at her. "Sure you don't want me to come along?" he asked, concern in his voice. "I've got this, Dad," Amara replied confidently. "I'm 15. It's time I do this myself." Marcus nodded, pride in his eyes, though a hint of worry lingered. Amara had reassured him, "I'll be in and out before your next meeting." It seemed so simple. She never imagined a routine deposit would turn into such an ordeal. As she waited in the corner, Amara reflected on her father's lessons about fairness and respect. She had been raised to believe in equality, to treat others with dignity and expect the same. But standing there, isolated and humiliated, she realized the world didn't always follow those rules. For the first time, Amara confronted the harsh reality that her appearance, her race, was shaping how she was treated. Growing up in Crestwood, she had heard about discrimination but never felt it so personally. Today, it was her reality. The clock ticked on, her anxiety rising. Why was she still waiting? Why was no one checking on her? The longer she stood, the heavier the situation felt. The marble floor grew colder, the ticking clock amplifying her isolation. Customers came and went, but no one spoke to her. She was invisible, a target of silent judgment in the bustling bank. Amara's gaze shifted to other customers. A well-dressed older couple entered, greeted warmly by Evelyn, who escorted them to a private area. Amara received no such acknowledgement. A young woman with an accent approached the counter with paperwork, only to be dismissed by Evelyn with a curt, "The system's slow today. It'll take time." Yet, when a white couple arrived with similar documents, Evelyn's demeanor changed. "Let me handle that for you," she said warmly, ushering them forward. Amara's chest tightened with anger and disbelief. This wasn't just poor service. It was blatant bias. She saw it clearly now. Evelyn was choosing who deserved respect, and Amara didn't make the cut. Her hands clenched as she fought to stay composed. She had seen subtle discrimination before, but never had it felt so personal, so painful. It was as if the bank had turned its back on her because of her skin color. Evelyn's voice cut through again, addressing the security guard near Amara. "Keep an eye on her," she said coolly. "Make sure she doesn't leave." Amara's heart raced. She wanted to shout at the injustice, but focused on her breathing, trying to block out the pain. She had been taught to handle challenges with grace, but today felt different. She was trapped in a system that saw her as an inconvenience. Minutes stretched into hours. The rustle of papers, polite murmurs, and Evelyn's sharp heels clicking on the marble floor filled the silence. Amara felt watched, judged. Whispers grew louder. Snide remarks, pitying glances, even quiet chuckles. She felt small, powerless. Worst of all, no one intervened. No one questioned her treatment. Her suffering was just background noise in a world that ignored injustice. Then, something caught Amara's eye. Evelyn was speaking to Liam in hushed tones, her face tense. "Why is she still here?" Evelyn whispered. "We need to move her along. She doesn't belong." Amara's stomach dropped. The words confirmed her fears. This wasn't about the check. It was about power, control, and the assumption that Amara didn't belong. She couldn't stay silent. "I'm not the problem," she said, her voice shaky but firm. "I'm here to deposit my scholarship check just like anyone else." Evelyn didn't respond, instead turning to the security guard. Take her to the back, she ordered. Keep her there until we're done. The guard, a tall man with a stern presence, gripped Amara's arm and marched her across the bank. Every eye followed, but no one spoke up. Amara's face burned with humiliation as she was led to a corner near the back, still visible but out of the way. Stay here, the guard said, stepping back to watch her. Amara stood tall, arms crossed, but inside she was crumbling. Her body ached from standing still, her thoughts spiraling. She had been humiliated, treated like an outsider in a place that should have been fair. Her eyes scanned the bank, searching for a distraction from the injustice. Then she noticed Evelyn speaking to a well-dressed man. Tall, commanding, unfamiliar at first. Something about him felt significant. Evelyn leaned in, handing him a folder marked Confidential. Amara's pulse quickened. The man's name clicked. Gregory Holt, CEO of Pinnacle Finance, a rival to her father's firm. Her father had mentioned him in passing, discussing business rivalries. If you are still watching this video, subscribe and share with friends. Amara strained to hear their conversation, but she was too far away. Still, she saw enough. Evelyn's hushed tone, Holt's serious nod as he flipped through the folder. It wasn't just a meeting, it was a betrayal. Amara's mind raced. Her father's firm relied on trust and reputation. Any breach could be disastrous. This wasn't just about her anymore. Evelyn wasn't just mistreating her because of her race or age. She was sabotaging her father's company. Determination surged through Amara. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. She had to act. She pulled out her small notebook where she'd been jotting down the discriminatory treatment she'd witnessed. Now she had something bigger. Her fingers shook as she noted the time, names, and the suspicious folder. She didn't know what she'd do with the information, but she had to document it. As Evelyn and Holt wrapped up, Holt left with a purposeful stride. Evelyn returned to the counter, her smile gone, her gaze fixed on Amara. Amara's heart pounded. Evelyn seemed to sense she'd been seen. Amara knew she'd stumbled onto something serious, something that could affect her father's career. Her grip tightened on her pen. She had been wronged, but now she had a chance to make things right, not just for herself, but for her family and others treated unfairly by Evelyn. Hours of waiting and humiliation had led to this moment. Amara had been treated as an outsider, but now she held the truth. As if on cue, the bank doors opened, and her father, Marcus Lewis, walked in. His presence was commanding, calm, impeccably dressed, a stark contrast to the chaos Amara had endured. Evelyn straightened, her voice sugary. "Mr. Lewis, I wasn't expecting you. How can I help?" But Marcus ignored her, his eyes locking onto Amara, still isolated in the corner. A flash of anger crossed his face before he masked it. "Amara, are you okay?" he asked, concern in his voice. Amara nodded, steadying herself. "I'm fine, Dad, but you need to know something." She opened her notebook and recounted everything. The biased treatment, the favoritism towards certain customers, and the meeting between Evelyn and Gregory Holt. She read her notes clearly, detailing the confidential folder. Marcus listened, his face hardening. When she finished, he turned to Evelyn, his gaze piercing. "Miss Carter," Marcus said, his tone icy, "you owe my daughter an apology, and you owe me an explanation." Evelyn's confidence wavered. "I don't know what you mean," she stammered. Marcus cut her off. "I know exactly what you've been doing," he said firmly. "You've been passing confidential information to a competitor. This isn't just poor service, it's corporate espionage." The bank fell silent. Evelyn's face paled, her composure crumbling. She tried to speak, but Marcus didn't let her. "You're fired, Miss Carter," he said, his voice final. "Effective immediately." Security was called, and the guard who had escorted Amara now led Evelyn away, her pride shattered. Marcus addressed the room. "This bank will undergo a full review," he said, his voice commanding. We'll ensure no one is treated with the disrespect my daughter faced today. No one. Amara's heart steadied as she watched her father take charge, his strength a pillar she'd always admired. If you enjoy this story, subscribe to the channel for more. Also share with friends and loved ones.